If I told you that a homeless boy, cold, starving, and completely alone, helped an elderly woman carry her groceries, and that tiny moment of kindness changed his entire destiny, would you believe it? What if I said that the woman he helped wasn't just anyone, but a secret billionaire whose decisions could transform anyone's life? Today's story will shake your heart and remind you why kindness matters, because you never know who's watching, and you never know how one good deed might rewrite your entire life. Before we begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss powerful stories like this. Now let's begin. Cold wind sliced through the evening air as a thin, shivering boy walked along the dimly lit sidewalk. His name was Malik, 14 years old, but life had aged him far beyond his years. His shoes were worn, his jacket barely warm, and his small backpack held everything he owned. The world had not been kind to him, but somehow, he had held on to kindness anyway. Malik had been homeless for almost a year. After his mother passed away and distant relatives failed to take him in, the streets became his home. He slept wherever he could, behind dumpsters, under abandoned staircases, or inside cold building entrances. He did small jobs for spare change, carrying boxes, sweeping sidewalks, collecting cans. Some days he ate, some days he didn't. But despite all this, he never let go of the one thing his mother taught him before she died. No matter how little you have, you can always give kindness. That lesson was about to change his entire life. As Malik passed a grocery store, he noticed an elderly woman struggling with two heavy bags. Her hands trembled, her back bent under the weight, and her pace was painfully slow. Dozens of people walked right past her, not even turning their heads. Malik stopped. He hesitated. People often looked at him with suspicion or fear, but something in his heart pushed him forward. He stepped closer and spoke softly. "Ma'am, would you like some help with those bags?" The woman lifted her head. Her eyes were gentle, warm, the kind of eyes that truly saw people. "You would help me?" she asked, surprised. Malik nodded. "If that's okay with you." The woman smiled, grateful and relieved. "Thank you, dear. My name is Evelyn." "I'm Malik," he replied. As they walked together, Evelyn asked simple questions about school, about his day, about his interests. Malik kept his answers short. He didn't want to mention the truth about where he lived or how he survived. The walk took several blocks. When they reached Evelyn's apartment building, a small, modest place, she invited him inside to warm up. Malik instantly shook his head. "No, ma'am. I don't want to trouble you." "You helped me," Evelyn said softly. "Now let me help you. Just come in for a cup of warm tea." Her voice was full of motherly warmth, the kind Malik had been starved of. He finally nodded. Inside, the apartment felt like a different world, cozy, bright, filled with the comforting smell of cinnamon tea and fresh cookies. Family photos hung on the walls. Handmade quilts covered the couches. It felt like home, something Malik had not felt in a long time. As Malik sipped the warm tea, Evelyn quietly observed him. His thin arms, the dirt on his sleeves, the exhaustion etched into his young face. Finally, she asked gently, "Malik, do you have somewhere to stay tonight?" Malik froze, his heart pounding. Yeah, I'll be fine," he lied. Evelyn leaned forward, smiling sadly. "Dear, you don't have to hide it. You're alone, aren't you?" His eyes filled with tears. He hadn't cried in months, but at that moment, the softness of her voice made his guard fall apart. "Yeah," he whispered, "but I'll manage." Evelyn squeezed his hand. She didn't lecture him. She didn't pity him. Instead, she walked to the kitchen and packed a bag with food, bread, fruit, snacks, bottled water. She handed it to him. "Take this. It doesn't solve everything, but it's something." Malik looked at the bag as if it were treasure. Thank you so much." He walked out into the cold night with warmth in his chest, warmth he had forgotten existed. But what he didn't know was that Evelyn wasn't just a kind old woman living a quiet life. She was Evelyn Hartman, one of the country's most private billionaires. She chose to live simply, hiding her wealth from the world. And Malik had no idea that the moment he chose kindness, he stepped directly into the path of someone who had the power to change everything. The next morning, Evelyn couldn't get Malik out of her mind. She had met thousands of people in her life, business partners, politicians, investors, celebrities, but very few carried the quiet honesty she saw in that boy. Something about him stayed with her. The way he hesitated to accept help. The way he smiled even though life had been brutally unkind to him. The way he carried her heavy bags without complaint even though he himself was struggling. Evelyn had spent decades building wealth, power, and influence, but she had learned that true goodness couldn't be bought. You either had it or you didn't. And Malik had it. Meanwhile, Malik spent the morning wandering the city streets with the food she gave him. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't starving. He found a quiet alley, sat behind a bakery where the sun warmed the brick wall, and ate an apple from the bag. Each bite reminded him of home, of his mother, of the small kitchen where she used to cook. He wiped his eyes quickly. He hated crying. Crying made him feel weak, and weakness had no place on the streets. But that evening, as the sky turned orange and the streetlights flickered on, Malik's path and Evelyn's path crossed again. He wasn't expecting it. He was walking near the same grocery store, hoping someone might pay him a little to help carry things, when he heard a familiar voice. Malik. He turned, blinking in surprise. Evelyn stood there holding a small shopping bag, her eyes warm as ever. Hi, ma'am, Malik said shyly. Do you need help again? She smiled. I wouldn't mind the company, dear. Malik nodded and took the bag from her. As they walked, Evelyn gently asked, Where did you sleep last night? Malik's stomach tightened. Just around. I find places. And during the day, I try to work. I help people carry stuff, or I collect cans. Sometimes I get lucky with little jobs. Evelyn listened carefully. She wasn't the type to interrupt or say things like, That's terrible. Instead, she let Malik speak in his own way, at his own pace. When they reached her building, she looked at him thoughtfully. Malik, would you like to come in again? I made some soup. You look cold. Soup. The smell. The warmth. The idea of home. Malik wanted to say yes, but he shook his head quickly. I don't want to bother you. I already came yesterday. Then let me bother you today, she replied softly. Her gentle humor broke his hesitation. He went inside again. The apartment felt just as warm, as safe, as magical as before. She served him a bowl of hot soup with soft bread. Malik ate slowly at first, carefully, as if he didn't deserve it. Evelyn noticed. Malik, she whispered, you don't have to feel guilty eating food. You helped me. Now let me help you. Malik looked down at the bowl. No one ever says that to me. She touched his shoulder lightly. Well, maybe they should. After he finished eating, Evelyn guided him to the small couch. Rest a little, she said. You look tired. Malik wasn't used to resting in safe places. Whenever he did fall asleep somewhere warm, it was usually because someone eventually kicked him out. But Evelyn sat in her rocking chair and simply watched the window while he slowly closed his eyes. The warmth of the room wrapped around him like a blanket. His body finally relaxed. He fell asleep. He woke up an hour later, startled, expecting to be yelled at or pushed out. But instead, Evelyn was knitting quietly. You're awake, she said with a soft smile. Did you rest well? Malik nodded, embarrassed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. You needed it, she replied. Malik stood up, anxious. I should go? It's getting late. Before you go, Evelyn said, slowly standing up. I want you to have something. She went to her cabinet and pulled out a warm coat. Thick, soft, almost new. Malik stared at it, as if it were a golden treasure. Ma'am, I can't take that. Yes, you can, Evelyn said firmly. And you will. The nights are getting colder. Malik hesitated, shaking his head. It's too much. Evelyn placed the coat gently around his shoulders. Nothing is too much when it comes to helping someone who truly deserves kindness. Malik didn't know what to say. No one had ever given him something so valuable. He held the coat tightly, fighting the tears forming in his eyes. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. Evelyn nodded. Come see me again, Malik. When you need food, or warmth, or company, my door is open. Malik stepped outside wearing the coat, and for the first time in a long time, he felt something deep inside him. Hope. But he still didn't know the truth. He still didn't know who Evelyn really was. He didn't know that her simple apartment was only a tiny piece of her life, a place she used to escape the overwhelming world of wealth and power. And he had no idea that she had already made a decision in her heart. She wasn't going to let Malik face the world alone anymore. She was going to change his life. The next few days brought a quiet, unexpected routine into Malik's life. Every afternoon, after hours of wandering the streets looking for odd jobs, Malik found himself drifting toward Evelyn's neighborhood, not because he wanted anything, but because that small apartment had become the only place in the city where he didn't feel invisible. Still, he never knocked unless she saw him outside and invited him in. He didn't want to take advantage of her kindness. He just liked knowing that somewhere in this cold world, there existed one person who wasn't afraid of him. On the fourth evening, as he walked by the grocery store again, he heard someone calling his name. Malik. He turned and saw Evelyn waving from a distance, holding 2 grocery bags. Malik jogged over immediately and took them from her. "I thought I might see you today," she said with a twinkle in her eye. Malik smiled shyly. "I was nearby. I'm glad you were." She paused, studying him carefully. "How was your day?" Malik shrugged. "I collected bottles. Got $6. Bought food." He said it casually, the way someone might describe brushing their teeth. But Evelyn's heart tightened. No child deserved this. No child deserved to carry the weight of survival on thin shoulders. When they reached her building, Evelyn hesitated. Something in her voice was different when she spoke again. "Malik, would you stay for dinner tonight?" Malik blinked. "Dinner? Yes. I made chicken stew. And I baked cornbread too." Malik's stomach tightened with longing. The smell already drifting through the building made his mouth water, but he shook his head quickly. "I can't take more food from you. You've already given me so much." Evelyn placed a gentle hand on his arm. "Dear, kindness is not something that runs out. It grows the more you give it." Her words disarmed him completely. He nodded slowly and followed her inside. As they ate dinner, Evelyn asked him questions. Not the type that made him uncomfortable, but the type that showed she genuinely cared. "What's your favorite subject in school? What did you want to be when you were younger? Do you have any hobbies?" Malik answered in small pieces. He talked about how he loved drawing, how he used to sketch buildings and street scenes, how his mother always told him he had a gift. "You still have that gift," Evelyn said softly. "You just need a chance to use it." Later that night, after Malik finished eating, Evelyn stood up and went to her bedroom. Malik waited awkwardly, unsure whether he should leave. When she returned, she held a small sketchbook and a pack of pencils. "These are for you," she said. Malik stared at them, stunned. He hadn't held real drawing pencils in over a year. His hands trembled slightly as he touched the sketchbook's smooth cover. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll draw," Evelyn replied with a warm smile. Malik did. He opened the book and began sketching a window in her living room. The light, the curtains, the reflection. His hand moved slowly at first, then more freely. Evelyn watched in silent amazement. For a boy who hadn't practiced in so long, his talent was undeniable. "Malik," she said after a long moment, "you're gifted." Malik shrugged, embarrassed. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing," Evelyn insisted. "Your drawings have emotion. They feel alive." No one had complimented him like that in years. He closed the sketchbook gently, almost protectively. "Thank you, ma'am." Evelyn studied him quietly. Her mind was already forming a plan, one that would change everything. But she needed to be careful. She didn't want to overwhelm him. That night, as Malik left with his new sketchbook and the warm coat wrapped around him, he felt like he had stepped out of a different world, a world where someone cared about him, believed in him. For the first time since losing his mother, he felt seen. The next morning, Evelyn made an important phone call. She contacted her lawyer, her personal assistant, and the director of a youth housing foundation she funded anonymously. She gave them a simple instruction: "I need a safe home for a boy, and I need it fast." But she didn't stop there. She also reached out to an elite art academy located across town, one of the most prestigious in the country. She had donated millions to keep the academy running over the years, but she rarely asked for personal favors. Today, she asked for one. "I want you to evaluate a student," she said. "A young artist. He's exceptional." The director agreed immediately. Evelyn's reputation alone carried enormous weight, even though she kept her wealth hidden. In business circles, she was known as a quiet powerhouse. Later that same day, Evelyn went to a discreet building, a place no one would expect a billionaire to step into. It looked like a simple office from the outside, but inside, it was the headquarters of her private philanthropic foundation. The team greeted her respectfully. "We're ready for the boy whenever you are," the director said. "Not yet," Evelyn replied. "I need to talk to him first." They nodded. They knew that when Evelyn set her heart on something, she committed to it fully. That evening, when Malik showed up again, Evelyn invited him in with her usual warmth. They ate together, talked softly, and Malik drew in his new sketchbook while Evelyn watched. But before he left, she gently cleared her throat. Malik, I want to talk to you about something important. Malik froze. His mind raced. Was she going to tell him to stop visiting? Had he overstayed his welcome? He swallowed hard. Okay. Evelyn sat beside him. You deserve more than the streets. You deserve safety, warmth, education, and a future. Her voice trembled slightly with emotion. I want to help you, if you'll let me. Malik's heart pounded. He didn't understand. What do you mean? I want to give you a place to stay, she said softly. A real home. Malik's throat tightened. He had dreamed of hearing those words for so long that they didn't feel real. You mean like, live somewhere? Yes, Evelyn whispered. Live safely. Live comfortably. And go to school again. Tears filled Malik's eyes. He didn't remember the last time someone had offered him a chance. Not pity, not charity, but a real chance. He covered his face with shaking hands as tears rolled down his cheeks. Evelyn gently wrapped her arms around him. You're not alone anymore, Malik. Not if you choose not to be. Outside, the night was cold and unforgiving. But inside that apartment, something new had begun, a future. But the biggest surprise of all was still to come. Malik could hardly sleep that night. He found a quiet place behind a bookstore, pulled the warm coat tightly around himself, and held the sketchbook close to his chest. Evelyn's words replayed in his mind like a dream he was afraid to believe. A real home, safety, school, a future. He wanted it more than anything. But something inside him was scared. Scared it was too good to be true. Scared it would be taken away. Scared he might ruin everything just by wanting it too much. When you've lived on the streets long enough, hope becomes dangerous. It feels easier not to expect anything. But deep down, he wanted to trust her. The next evening, he walked toward Evelyn's building with slow, nervous steps. He didn't know what he would say. He just knew he had to see her. When he reached the entrance, Evelyn was already waiting outside, as if she sensed he'd come. You're here, she said softly. Malik nodded. Can we talk? Of course, she said, guiding him inside. They sat on the couch, the warm lamp lighting the room. Malik fiddled with his hands, breathing shakily. I don't know if I can do it, he whispered. I'm scared. Evelyn nodded gently. I would be surprised if you weren't. Malik looked up, confused. Change is scary, Evelyn continued, especially when life hasn't been kind. But you don't have to do everything at once. Just take one step, then another. Malik swallowed. What if I'm not good enough? What if I mess up? What if I can't live like normal people? Evelyn's heart broke at his words. She reached out and held his hand. Malik, listen to me. You are more than enough. You've survived things most people never could. You have strength, kindness, and talent. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to try. He took a shaky breath. Okay, I'll try. Evelyn squeezed his hand. Good. Because I have something important to show you tomorrow. Tomorrow? Malik asked. Yes, she said, smiling mysteriously. Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow could be the start of something big. The next morning, Evelyn's sleek black car, one she rarely used, pulled up near a small cafe where she asked Malik to meet her. Malik almost didn't recognize her. She wasn't dressed like the gentle old woman from the apartment. Today she carried a quiet power, the posture, the confidence, the presence of someone who commanded respect without needing to say a word. They drove across the city, and Malik stared out of the window, confused. Where are we going? He finally asked. You'll see. Evelyn replied with a small smile. The car stopped in front of a tall building with beautiful architecture, glass windows, wide steps, banners featuring stunning artwork and young artists. It looked like a place Malik would never belong. What is this? Malik whispered. Evelyn stepped out and placed a gentle hand on his back. This, dear, is the Hartman Academy of Arts. Hartman, Malik repeated slowly. He hadn't connected it before. That's your last name? Yes, she said. I built this school many years ago. Malik's mouth fell open. You built this entire school. Not alone, she chuckled. But I funded it. I've always believed in young artists having a chance, especially those who come from nothing. Malik stared up at her. Why are we here? Evelyn looked into his eyes and said something that made his entire body freeze. Because I want them to see your art. My art, he echoed, stunned. But I'm not good enough to be here. These kids, they're real artists. You're an artist too, Evelyn said firmly. And I believe in you completely." Before he could respond, the academy director walked out, a tall man with silver glasses and a warm smile. "Ms. Hartman," he said respectfully, "it's good to see you." "You too, Alan," Evelyn replied. "This is the young man I told you about." Alan looked at Malik with interest. "Ah, the talented one." Malik flushed. "I I don't know if I'm." Alan held up a hand. "Evelyn has a sharp eye for talent. If she says you have potential, then I want to see it for myself." They led Malik inside to a quiet studio room filled with sunlight and art supplies. Evelyn handed him his sketchbook. "Just draw," she whispered. His hands trembled, but he sat down and began sketching lines, shadows, shapes. His fears slowly faded. His world shrank into the pencil, the paper, the image coming to life. He drew a city street at sunset, inspired by the places he had wandered. He added reflections, silhouettes, tiny details no one else would notice. When he finally pulled back, Alan and Evelyn were standing behind him silently. Alan exhaled. "This boy is extraordinary." Malik stared at the floor, eyes wide. You really think so?" Alan nodded. "Absolutely." Evelyn turned to Alan. "Will you take him?" Alan didn't hesitate. "Yes. Full scholarship. As soon as he's ready." Malik felt dizzy. He had never dreamed of something like this. Not even when he was little. "I can go to school here," he whispered. "Yes," Evelyn said, her voice soft and full of emotion. "If you want to." Malik nodded slowly, then faster, then with tears running down his face. "Yes, yes, I want to." Evelyn wrapped her arms around him, tears in her own eyes now. Then it settled. "We're going to build your future." As they walked back to the car, Malik glanced at her, courage building inside him. "Evelyn, why are you doing all this for me?" She smiled gently. "Because you helped me when you had nothing. And because kindness should always come back to you when you least expect it." But what he didn't know yet was that she still hadn't revealed the biggest truth of all, that she wasn't just helping him. She was planning to adopt him. Over the next few days, Malik's life began to change faster than he could process. Evelyn took him to buy new clothes, comfortable ones, nothing expensive, and helped him get a proper haircut. She showed him how to organize his art supplies, how to take care of himself, how to plan his days. It felt strange at first, having someone care about him in ways he had never experienced. But slowly, he began letting himself feel safe. The Hartman Academy scheduled a meeting to prepare him for enrollment. Evelyn handled the paperwork while Malik sat beside her, watching her sign documents with calm authority. Each signature brought him closer to a life he thought he would never have. After the meeting, Evelyn invited him back to her apartment for dinner. She cooked pasta with fresh vegetables and garlic bread, the kind of warm meal that filled the air with comfort. Malik watched her move around the kitchen, smiling softly. She wasn't acting like a billionaire. She wasn't acting like someone doing charity. She was acting like family. They ate quietly for a while, the soft glow of the lights making the room feel even warmer. Malik took a bite of bread, and his voice slipped out timidly. "Evelyn, can I ask you something?" "Of course," she said, looking up. "Why me?" he asked in a small voice. "There are so many kids out there. Better kids. Smarter kids. Kids who didn't grow up like I did. Why did you choose me?" Evelyn set down her fork and folded her hands gently. She looked at him with a depth he couldn't quite understand. "Because," she said softly, "I saw myself in you." Malik blinked. "You?" Evelyn nodded. "I wasn't always wealthy. I grew up in a poor neighborhood. My mother worked 3 jobs. We never had enough. And then one day, someone gave me a chance. Just a simple, unexpected chance. And it changed my whole life. I promised myself that when I finally made it, I would give that chance to someone else." Malik stared at her, stunned. He had never imagined that the elegant woman in front of him had once struggled the way he did. "And when you helped me with those groceries," Evelyn continued, "I saw a boy who was kind despite the world being unkind to him. I saw someone who didn't let hardship take away his heart. That is rare, Malik. Very rare." He lowered his gaze as his eyes welled up. "I didn't think anyone would ever pick me." Evelyn reached across the table and held his hand gently. "I didn't pick you," she whispered. "Life brought us together." Silence settled between them, gentle, meaningful, a silence that felt like healing. That night, as Malik finished his food, Evelyn took a deep breath. There was something else she needed to say, something bigger, something more life-changing than anything she had told him before. "Malik," she began slowly. There's something important I haven't told you yet. He looked up, confused. What is it? She hesitated, not because she doubted her decision, but because she knew how much it mattered. In order for you to attend the academy, and to make sure you're safe and supported, you'll need a guardian. Oh, Malik said quietly. He lowered his eyes. Right. I guess they won't let someone like me just show up alone. That's true, she said softly. Then she took another breath. But I was thinking if you wanted, I could be that guardian. Malik froze. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. What? He whispered. Evelyn smiled gently, her eyes warm. I would like to take responsibility for you. Not just for school. Not just for now. I want to give you a home. A stable one. A loving one. A safe one. Only if you want it to. Malik's vision blurred as tears filled his eyes. He tried to blink them away, but they only fell faster. You want to be my? Yes, she said softly. I want to be your mother. The word hit him like a warm wave. Mother. He hadn't said that word in so long. He had almost forgotten what it felt like. He covered his mouth with shaking hands, sobbing quietly. I've never had anyone want me before, he cried. Evelyn stood up and walked around the table. She knelt beside him and wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly as he cried into her shoulder. You are wanted, she whispered. You are worthy. You are loved. And you will never be alone again. I promise you that, Malik. For the first time in years, Malik let himself believe those words. After he calmed down, they talked for hours, about school, about his fears, about what the future could look like. By the end of the night, Malik looked at her with courage he didn't know he had. I want this, he whispered. I want you. Evelyn smiled with tears in her eyes. Then it's decided. The adoption process began the next morning. It took time, interviews, paperwork, evaluations, but Evelyn handled everything with steady determination. She attended every meeting with Malik, sat beside him for every question, assured him through every moment of doubt. Weeks later, the official letter arrived. Malik Hartman, his new name, his new beginning. Evelyn held him close as he cried, overwhelmed with joy. Welcome home, my son, she whispered. And for the first time in his life, Malik felt the warmth of a home. Not the walls, not the furniture, not the lights, but the feeling of belonging, the feeling of being loved. As months passed, Malik began classes at the academy. He made friends. His teachers praised his talent. His confidence grew. His life transformed. But he never forgot the day everything changed. The day he carried a bag of groceries for a stranger who became his guardian, his guide, his mother, and the billionaire woman who had everything, found the one thing she didn't know she was missing, a son.